Hi everybody, welcome back to Level Uploading Fight Feelings Face Facts with yours truly, Shay Shay. Hope you guys are having an amazing week. It's my favorite recording day, which of course is Friday. It has been a long week, but as I stated, we're not living for the weekend. 2 episodes ago, we are not living for the weekend. So I have been making time for fun and things of that nature, enjoying things that I, typically wouldn't necessarily enjoy during weekdays. I've made time to do that in this past week because I'm not just saying these things like I'm saying these things to you guys, but I'm trying to live them as well on my end. So yes, this week has been long, but I have managed to get out, and I went to a poetry event. I went out for, just like a little random ladies night. I didn't perform my poetry this time. I kind of was just a spectator. I wanted to get a feel for the energy and the space. I might perform next time. I don't know. It's a lot of pressure. They were pressuring me to perform. I'm like, who said I was a poet? But one thing I will say, Nashville is a small place. Like, Nashville is one of those places that's upcoming. Like, it's getting to be a big city, but honestly, it's really just a small city that is getting prepared to be transitioned into a really much bigger, machine than what it typically is. So honestly, there's probably a chance that a lot of the people that were there at the poetry night might have seen me post it from the other times when I performed, but I was just in my watch mode that day. I wasn't really sure. I was tempted, but I really kind of was just laid back, sipping my little tea and relaxing. So I don't know, but neither here nor there. I want to bring you guys this quick message. It is in line with a post that I recently posted, and I actually want to talk more about it. Actually, let me read the post. This robe needs to stay closed or whatever. Okay, so this is what I posted, and this is just my reflection in my level up journey. This is me thinking back and reflecting on the things that I did, could have done better, should have done better, but also being thankful because God already knew what I needed to help me and to propel me into the next level. So this was a post that I made. It says, God revealed so much to me in my last relationship, and I'm so glad he did. He allowed me to make my own poor decisions so that they could be used in my progression and for my betterment. Reflecting, and I really wasn't who I thought I was. Definitely took myself out the oven too quick. Wasn't done baking, but it all worked how it should. Now I am more aware of the areas that need fortifying in me. I'm super glad that I got to experience it. It was definitely a teachable moment for me. I'm getting better and better and being renewed and reinforced daily, not only in my walk with God, but also in my walk with myself. I'm realizing who I really am and not who I thought I should be. And I'm not afraid to exceed my own expectations because the plans that God has for me are bigger than I can even imagine. Mark my words. So that is the post that I made, and I am so thankful for the mistakes that God allowed me to make and God allowed me to experience. He already knew, and that's basically what this message for today is. He already knew. So just a little bit of background. If you guys are day one people from my podcast on Anchor, before I brought it to the visuals to YouTube, my season 1, I pretty much started it single woman, whatever. I'm on my healing journey, like super proud of myself, super ambitious, and very much excited because I was seeing the change that I wanted to see in myself, and I was loving it, like physically, mentally, spiritually, in all aspects, in all realms. I was like, Shay is that girl, like she doing her thing. And then towards the end of that season, I announced that I was in a relationship, and I had gotten into a relationship, and I'm not using this as a bashing session or anything like that. This is more so about myself and me just not being ready, me thinking that I was more healed than I was, me thinking that I was more prepared than I was, you know. And God just allowed me to make that mistake in order for that to teach me and to really show me, like, I'm not done with you yet, sis. Like, you're rushing the process. You're not consulting me about these people. You're not consulting me about these situations. You're not consulting me about the moves that you're making. And then not only that, you're being led by sinful lust. You're being led by passion and things that are really could be potentially dangerous in your walk with me. And it was humbling for me to sit back and really think about the fact that I was not done. I wasn't who I really thought I was. I was getting there. Like, you know how you're baking or something, and you put the cake in the oven and it looks like it's done. So you're like, oh yeah, you sitting there watching it every 5 minutes, and you're like, it's done. And you take it out and you poke it and it deflates. I was the deflatable cake, okay? And I don't want to be the deflatable cake. I want to be the done cake. I'm leaving myself in the oven. I'm letting God have his way with me, and not just in a relationship realm, but in all facets. I even think about, like, just not being aligned with people, and people come into your life to show you things, to introduce you to things, to help you, you know. I'm always the helper. I very rarely get the help, at least not in the, I don't always get the help, like I rarely get the help, at least not in like the physical realm. Like, I get the help in the back end because I've learned so much, and I get that wisdom, and I get that knowledge that failure is just leading me closer to my ultimate success. But people come into your lives, and it applies both ways, you know. You fall in love or you fall in lust with what you think a person is, but you don't really love that person. You don't really know that person. And me rushing my process when I was in a very vulnerable state of still being half done in my healing was just the ultimate setback for me. And I'm finally getting myself completely back, you know. I'm on a whirlwind of upward movement for sure, but it was a setback for me, honestly. And it took me a while to get my footing back after that relationship ended, which is weird because I didn't feel down about it. Like, I know that God removes things from my life for a reason, and I'm thankful for that. And I'm never scared to let things go, ever. Okay, listen, especially not people, because I know that people can be fickle. I know that everything is for a season, so I never really have a hard time letting things go, and I didn't have a hard time letting him go. But I think it was just a blow to my ego, I guess you could say. Like, it was more so like a blow to my ego and to my esteem, and also because I had put in so much effort, and because I was using all these tools that I had learned in my healing process, and these things that I had really found that I thought were good communication skills and things of that nature. And it was like, okay, I got all these skills, I learned these things, I want to implement them in my relationship. I want to implement them and you know, be better than what I was in my previous relationships, and be less closed off and more vulnerable and more whatever. But I just really had to understand that God never told me that that was the person that I was supposed to be giving those gifts to and to be using those techniques on. I made that decision. I spurred the moment made that decision. I let myself kind of fall back into a pattern that is completely normal and natural, but still a pattern nonetheless that is unproductive when it's all said and done. Trying to keep these boobs in, y'all. Oh, everybody like my red robe, so I was trying to bring the red robe, but the red robe ain't red robing right now, okay? It wants to be free. We are not. We ain't monetized yet, but when this video do get monetized, whenever it reaches everybody, I want my coin, okay? So we not trying to do that. But anyway, what was I saying? Y'all know I be going on tangents. But yeah, I just think that unfortunately I was making rushed decisions. I was very much thirsty to utilize the great skills that I was, you know, collecting, but God's like, I wasn't done with you yet. Like, you're not ready. And then not only that, God takes me seriously. He takes me a lot more seriously than I take myself. I'm seeing that now with clear eyes. I see that he takes me a lot more seriously than I take myself. And so I think that just in hindsight, you know, hindsight is always 20/20. Just thinking about the fact that I was not as healed, like I wasn't who I thought I really was. Like I was actually doing the motions, but deep down it hadn't made it to my core yet. So yes, I was this woman that was commanding rooms. Yes, I was this woman commanding energy and taking up space and setting boundaries, and I was doing the actions. You know, practice makes perfect. So yes, I was that woman, but it hadn't reached my core yet. And so when I was placed into situations, I wasn't fortified and I wasn't strong in those areas because it hadn't seeped deep enough, if that makes sense. You know, I'm trying to think of a good analogy for something like that. Like, I don't have a really good analogy for that. But basically what I'm saying is that I wasn't ready for what I thought I was ready for. And when I was placed in situations where that woman who I was on the outside wasn't matching who I completely was on the inside. Yes, she was inside, she was transforming. Yes, she was starting to get there. Yes, she was standing firm in her boundaries. Yes, she was doing the work to be that woman. But that small portion of my core was still pliable, and so I would be placed in situations that felt familiar, where my boundaries was pushed, or, you know, people pleasing qualities which rear their ugly heads. And because I was still baking, I wasn't done. So, you know, okay, just this is the analogy. Here goes an analogy. You make a chicken, you make the whole Cornish hen, or you make a whole chicken in the oven, and you cook it the you know, a lot of time, and you know, you eating the legs are done, you know, the legs are done, you know, you're eating the wings are done, but then you get to the breasts and you get to the middle part and it's like, oh, it's a little red. Now you're a little scared because of course legs and wings take a different amount of time to cook than the breast. So I don't know if that makes any sense. But yeah, it was a little red, it was a little raw in the middle. You weren't getting salmonella, but it was a little raw in the middle. And my neighbors they got their dogs, so if y'all hear that, no worries. But yeah, so I'm just thankful, and I'm fighting the feeling of being discouraged and, you know, hard on myself when it comes to situations like this, because I know that God already knew what was going to happen. He let me make those mistakes. He let me do those things in order for me to have my self-reflection now and have a better idea of, hey, this is what needs to be fixed. This is what needs to be fortified. Before that relationship, I had been single for 4 years. And before the relationship before that, I think I had been single for like 3 or 4 years. I'm not a person that just runs and hops into relationships. I really am not. I'm not a person who finds people who I like enough to do that quickly. I know some people bounce person to person. I'm a little bit more picky than that, even though my picker still is off sometimes. But yeah, I'm not a person that rushes into relationships. So you know, it was very interesting to put myself on the outside now and look back at what I was accepting, what I was allowing, what I was accepting, and what I thought was enough for me just really wasn't. And God is like probably shaking his head the whole time, like, this what this girl want to take. And that's not shade, no shade to my ex. Like, he was a good guy. He had his redeemable qualities, or he wouldn't have even gotten that far with me, honestly. But it was just a lot of things that needed to be needed to be developed in him, and a lot of things that still needs to be developed in me as well. And so we just were not on the same alignment. We're not in the same place. And so I really think that although I'm fighting the feeling of, you know, being so hard on myself, I still want to face the fact that I need to be accountable for those actions and be accountable for rushing the process and not taking myself seriously, and also people pleasing and just letting people step over my boundaries. Like I said, I was not who I thought I was. I had been doing so well, but I just wasn't fully developed in that area enough to handle it in all capacities. Now, I can definitely say I handled it better than I had in past relationships, but the skill set just wasn't developed enough for me to stay true to myself completely. And that's one thing that I think that we should be doing, male or female, woman or man, no matter your sexual orientation, your religion, your financial status. I think that we should be choosing ourselves, and not in a selfish way, but in a preservation type of way, in a uplifting kind of way. Fight the feeling of choosing yourself as being a selfish act. It's not a selfish act. I've preached that on 1,000 episodes, and I just want to reiterate it because a lot of times people really have a hard time accepting that it's okay to choose yourself. And if I had really chosen myself, I know that I would have made better decisions. I would have picked a more supportive partner. I would have picked a more emotionally available partner. I would have picked a more financially responsible partner. I would have chose myself instead of me trying to be a enabler and falling back into habits and things like that. Also, I would have been better mentally in order for me to be the woman who would have nipped a lot of things in the bud. And I was that woman at first, and I think it kind of just wore on me a little bit. No shade, no tea. It just wore on me, and I just kind of fell into the habit of what was comfortable for me to do. And that's my fault. I can't blame anyone else but myself for that regression. And it happens when you heal. Sometimes the scab falls off and you have to start from the beginning. It happens, but when the scab falls off, at least you're not bleeding. So it's process. It's progress. I mean, it's progress. You know, the first time when you get a sore, it's bleeding. It's, you know, whatever, you have to wait for it to scab up. But if that scab comes off, it's not bleeding like it was. It's not the same process. Like, you're starting from a better place. And that's where I'm at now. And I'm still getting better daily. And God is not through with me. And I will not be rushing myself. I'm taking myself out the oven prematurely. Stick a fork in me, I'm done. I'm not coming out the oven until I'm completely fortified in the areas that I feel are very strong that need to be developed. That's not to say that I'm not gonna be out here again until I'm perfect, because obviously I'm never gonna be perfect, but I know the difference between rushing the process now. I can see it firsthand, and I'm actually taking my time and making good decisions with myself and also for the other person. Not trying to be who people want me to be or need me to be or who I think I should be, but really just being myself and staying true to myself. It's really, really important. I hope this was at least a little bit helpful, because I know I come on here sometimes and I'm always kind of telling you guys about my experiences, but I don't really go into detail about it. And I really didn't go super into detail because I don't want to make this like a bashing type of situation. I may pray about it and see if that's something that God wants me to get a little bit more deep into the specifics of course with no names. But right now I didn't want to get too specific, but I do want you guys to, you know things about my life, and not just me just telling you what to do, or me just saying this is how we should be and this is why. Like, understand that I'm going through my own process as well. I'm struggling, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm transitioning. It's hard. There are so many things that used to define me that I no longer identify with, that I no longer answer to. So many names that I don't even answer to anymore, you know what I mean? So it's a transition and it's hard, but it's one that I am having a good time watching myself turn into this amazing woman. And I can't wait till I'm completely out of the cocoon, flying, fluttering my wings as the beautiful butterfly that I am, and the beautiful free butterfly that God has made me to be. I'm just really thankful for him and his provisions and his insights and his love for me and for you, and I hope that he always continues to do that for us. Guys, I hope this was a good video for you. I really wanted to get that off my heart. Someone definitely suggested that I speak about it, and once again I might speak about it again. We'll see. But anyway guys, have a good one. Talk to you later. Bye.